Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up? All right. Yeah, I'm not good with holding a microphone because I just want to turn into karaoke and you don't want to see that, trust me. So let's see, how many of you drive or own a Tesla? I guess if you owned it, you'd drive it. One. Wow, okay, I got a lot of work to do, but I don't have a book to sell, but I got plenty of cars. So for those of you who don't own a Tesla, which is most of you, you probably have no idea what integrating hop at plaid speed means. So plaid speed comes from the cult classic Mel Brooks movie called Spaceballs. My boss, of course, loves fast cars, space, a lot of other things, but so Spaceballs is iconic within Tesla. If you own a Tesla, you know that because there are other features that use Spaceball terminology. And in Spaceball, when they went hypersonic, because it's, a play on Star Wars, they called it plaid speed. So if you haven't watched it, please watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. And now when you see some of the references, when you get your Tesla, you'll know where they came from. So plaid, you'll notice we've got the plaid. This is what it looks like in the movie when they go hypersonic. It looks like plaid. So it's really kind of funny, and it's not the typical going plaid or going hypersonic that you see in all the fancy movies. And plaid is because we have a Model S, which is our vehicle. Our vehicles actually spell out sexy cars. So the Model S is first. And the Model S, the newest one, is plaid speed because our Model S has 1,050 horsepower. That's a lot of horses. And it can go a quarter of a mile in 2.3 seconds. Yes, 2.3 something seconds. That's gonna take your stomach to your throat, right? It's fast. It also goes 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds. So it's fast. And if you compare our vehicle to a Bugatti, which costs like between $1 million and maybe $3 million, it beats it. It's faster than a Bugatti. And I think that it's definitely a better value. So when we're talking about taking human and organizational performance and operational learning to plaid speed, that's what we mean. We're going fast. So I'd like to cue up a video just to show you how fast.
Was to create not the best
and with sound
electric car, but actually the best car of any kind.
The Model S. This is an ambitious goal to create a whole new kind of car. A lot of Wall Street is betting Tesla can't get it done.
It's fast, and it's a fun vehicle, and we can go lightning fast with our hop deployment as well. Before we get started, I kind of want to learn a little bit more about each of you. So why don't everybody stand up, right? I'm not right before lunch, but let's stand up. And I want you to stay standing if you've been on your hop journey for more than 1 to 2 years. Stay standing if you've been on your hop journey for more than 1 to 2 years. Stay standing if you've been on your hop journey for 5 to 7 years. All right, stay standing if you've been on your hop journey for 10 or more years. Okay, so everybody seated? Look at these people standing up. These are the people that you want to buy a drink in the bar and pick their brain, okay? So everybody standing up. So that's good. We've got a lot of expertise to pull on here and a long way to go. Just to give you a little more insight on Tesla, Tesla is both an automotive company, but also a renewable energy company. And our mission is to accelerate the world to sustainable energy. And we do that through our automotive side. We also do it we have power generation through solar, and we have storage. So it's more than just an automotive company. And we are moving at lightning fast speed. So a little bit so you understand why, like why does Tesla have to implement human and organizational performance and occupational learning so fast? Let me just explain our growth story. So Tesla, in 2010, we purchased a factory in Fremont, California. It was a former General Motors factory that started operations in the 1960s, before I was born. And they ran that facility. Then they formed a joint venture with NUMMI, which is a joint GM and Toyota joint venture. There's a great podcast about the NUMMI joint venture as well. And they ran the company till 2010 when it was curtailed, it was shut down. And that's when Tesla came and purchased that factory. We were less than 1,000 people in 2010. That factory now is one of the highest output automotive factories in the world, and they beat the record for automotive manufacturing from the NUMMI when NUMMI was running the facility just last year. So pretty exciting how we've ramped up that factory. Then in 2014, we broke ground in Nevada, Sparks, Nevada, for the world's largest battery factory. And we began operating there in 2016. Then in 2017, we purchased Solar City. We purchased that generation side. So Solar City, with Solar City came another factory. It's a factory in New York, right outside of Buffalo, New York. Used to be an old steel mill, and it was curtailed. So in that factory now, Tesla builds our solar roof and builds our supercharging components. So that's pretty cool. Then in 2018, it was 2018, we broke ground in Shanghai and started operations that same year on another automotive factory that builds our Model Ys in China. We didn't stop there. In 2020, we broke ground for our first factory in Europe, in Berlin, and they began operations in March of 2022. And they're putting out about 400 cars now a day. But of course, everything's bigger in Texas. That's where I'm from. Got my boots on right here. That's why I had to be on stage. We broke ground in 2020, also in Texas, right outside of Austin. And now that factory also went online April of 2022. So combined, Tesla now has 26 million square feet of manufacturing across the world. Isn't that exciting? It's 26. You know how many hamsters will fit in there? Yeah, 1.25 billion. For some reason in Tesla, we love to say, well, how many hamsters will fit in there? I don't know, it's like a company culture thing. But I did the math, and I may have done it right, may have done it wrong, but about 1.25 billion hamsters. But it's incredible, the growth that we had, right? So you can see that. And that's not it. We don't just build factories to manufacture cars and energy products and storage products. We also have a sales, service, and delivery business because we deliver our own cars, we sell our own cars, and we do service on our own cars. And we also have the energy business. So we have 536 locations around the world now. And almost every day we're opening a new one. And then we're in 64 different countries. So it's just not a company that gives you time to implement. And that's what I really want to share with you is how we're doing that. So Tesla today, what we look like today and what we've done to save the environment. So we built on average almost 18,000 cars a week. So that's a lot of cars. One day it'll be a day. We have, as I mentioned, 536 retail service units. We actually now have over 100,000 employees around the world in Tesla. Remember, in 2010, we started with less than 1,000. This is quite the journey. We have 30,000 superchargers for if you have a Tesla, you want to have a supercharger. We actually have one in every state now. Alaska and Hawaii just opened up last week. But I think the best part of this is that we saved 8.4 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent so far. So super exciting. That is amazing. So that's Tesla. Now that you understand a little bit about what we are dealing with at Tesla, right? Fast paced, constantly going. We don't even use the word change management. We just use management because we're always changing. I want to talk to you about how we are integrating at this lightning fast speed. So first of all, I think we all know Todd did a great job explaining and teaching us that safety is not the absence of accidents, but it's really the presence of capacity. So at Tesla, the way we define capacity, because a lot of people are like, well, how do you define capacity? We define it as intentional leadership. We have engaged workers. We're agile. We have safeguards. Those all equal capacity. So we looked at all of this and we're doing it at the same time. Not separately, but at the same time, so that we can have the definition of safety as the presence of capacity. So our approach definitely matches how fast we're running as a company. And for that reason, I'm going to talk with you how we're implementing. So this is something that maybe you're thinking, where do I start? How do I start? Well, I'm going to tell you what we did, and you can understand why we had to do it so fast, just because of the way we're running our business, which hopefully you can feel now based on understanding it. Whoops, pushed too fast. This is very sensitive. So I want to talk to you about how we're doing this. I'm going to talk to you about three things: our integration points, how we integrated HOP and operational learning, our tools and our technology, what we have in place, and then our resources, how we continue to sustain and grow our HOP and our organizational learning processes. So integration points first. You're looking a little tired. I'm going to engage you a little more now. So these are the key integration points that we had across Tesla. So why don't you, let's look at this. People who are on their beginning of their journey, like where did you start with your HOP integration? Because usually like the hardest thing to do is start, right? The hardest thing to do is get started. So stand up if the way you're starting your journey now is by putting in a HOP structure and making sure you've got your leadership engaged. Stand up if that's where you started. Okay, and everybody starts different. There's no right or wrong answer on this. It's just good to see. Okay, thank you. Anyone started by just building relationships, building advocacy, training advocacy groups, and finding the people who get it in your organization? Anybody start there? Yeah. It's a good place. Anybody start by looking at your policies, your procedures, making sure they don't have that, they're using HOP terminology and language, starting with that policy, that documentation piece. Anybody start there? Yeah, it's super cool to see different people starting at different places, and it's okay. What about anybody start with training? Training your executives, your supervisors, your workers, HR. A lot of people started with training. I started with training. That was where I started when I was with Alcoa. And then what about, thank you. What about anybody who started with, hey, I'm going to get the systems, the tools in place first. I'm going to have the checklist and the leader sheets and the documentation. Anybody start there? Stand up. Getting the technology in place first. Interesting. Okay. That's cool. Well, let me tell you, we started everything at the same time. What a surprise. Is that a surprise? No, that's right. This is Plaid Speed. So what we did from an organizational standpoint was, of course, I'm lucky I work for a leader. I don't know, you may not know the leader, Elon. He's never in the press, never. But he gets it because number one, he's got a servant leader mindset. And any of your leaders who have that are going to get it. If they don't, it's going to be harder. So just get ready for that. But we did start with, some casual conversations with our leaders. It wasn't intense because they got it. I made sure, I don't use the word I a lot, but I made sure I hired people with the right mindset. So anytime you have a job opening in especially your environmental health, safety, quality, hire people who understand or are willing to understand HOP and operational learning. This is your chance. Infiltrate, So we did that. The other thing we did was, this is for any director level or above, when we interview them, before the interview, we send an hour-long Todd Conklin video, a link to a video for them to watch before the interview. And then when we're interviewing them, it's typically me and other people, but when we're interviewing them, we ask them about the video, and you can learn a lot. Like, number one, did they watch it? Number two, did it strike them as, wow, everything I've been doing in my past life is wrong as a leader? And I get leaders who say that on the call. So it's a good thing to do. I would do that. And I always tell them, if we don't hire you, at least we've now changed the way you think about safety and how to implement it. So that's a big part. So we're doing that. At the same time, we're building the relationships and we're creating networks. So we've created networks. We integrate HOP where it already exists. The first thing you can do that will shut down your HOP program is to call it a program. It's not a program. So integrate your human and organizational performance into things that are already, into your safety committee meetings. Start talking the HP talk into those safety meetings. Meet with your people leaders. We don't call them HR. Just sounds like human remains or something. So we call them people. Meet with your people leaders, pull them into this, get them to understand, look at their way they handle investigations. I just said a bad word, but we'll get to that later. It's my nasty word. We created some really cool networks for HOP right away. We have navigators, HOP navigators. These are senior leaders who help us do our blueprint. We created HOP drivers. Anybody can join this HOP driver network as long as they've gone through some HOP training. And those are both global networks, and they meet on a regular basis. Then we have our navigators, our drivers. Oh, what's the last one? Can't remember it. Accelerators, thank you. They're my two main HOP leaders. We dressed alike. We did it on purpose, our plaid shirt. But our accelerators are really where the rubber meets the road, because the accelerators are in the workforce. And there are our leaders, our boots on the ground group that helps us keep a hop alive. So we did that. Along with that, we looked at all of our policies, of which there's only like 10. The first thing about Tesla is there's not many rules, which was very frustrating when I first got there. We had one rule: don't be a jerk. It's a good rule, right? But you need a few more, but not many. Rules don't make you safer is definitely from Elon. We don't have mountains of policies and procedures and rules, but that what we do have, we went through and cleaned those up. And one of the first things that we did was we made the word investigation a nasty word. We use the word operational learning or learning. We don't say the word investigation. And changing the way you talk, the words you use, is so important. It's very important. We know the words leaders use is very important. The words we all use as well. So get rid of that word. Just get it out of your vocabulary. We did that. Of course, we did the training. We have human and organizational training. We also have operational learning training. They're two different things. They need to be handled as two different sessions. But we didn't train the hell out of our workforce. First of all, you can't get, if you work in a manufacturing site, you can't get people off the line for 24 hours or for an 8-hour training, or a supervisor off for 24, a 2-day training. I couldn't do it. I don't know about you guys, but we got to build these vehicles at a rapid speed in order to reduce more carbon dioxide. So what we did was we have like 20-minute trainings with our workers. We have in the moment when we can, different training sessions with our leaders. We integrate it into our supervisor training. It's not separate. It's integrated in to our supervisor training. So it's what we expect. So the training piece is important. And then finally, we did integrate human and organizational performance and operational learning into our tools and our technology. My next one, going too fast. The tools and technology, we have the culpability model, which I know sounds like a bad word, but our people leaders use that to make decisions. We have response matter cards, and they're actually even on their iPhone. So when things happen, they could quickly think, wait, let me respond right. The coolest thing we have is something called My EHS, which is everybody in here probably has a place to log when incidents happen, right? Everybody. Everybody's got to track their incidents when they happen. So My EHS, we built it ourselves, mainly because our boss won't let us buy anything either. But we built it ourselves and intentionally added our HOP mindset and operational learning. And I'll show you that, what it looks like. So in the My EHS, we have a safer tool where we can track safeguards for high critical operations or tasks. We have event learning templates, checklist. Those are all part of the system. So I'll show you that in a minute, but before I show it to you, we also made sure that it was a way that we could engage our workforce, because you're not going to be successful unless you hear from the people who do the work. How many times have we heard that, right? We know that. So we created, it's a tool called Take Charge, and I'll show it to you in a little bit. It's just a very simple QR code where anybody and everybody, I did one the other day, can let you know of any type of hazard or idea, or maybe a quality improvement, HR issue. They can put it all in Take Charge, and that's in My EHS, our tool system. We also built in essential safeguards into our My EHS system. So I'm going to show you that. Hopefully I'll click it right. It's a very sensitive clicker. And it's going to walk you through, I hope, another. Do I click again? Okay, here we go. See, it takes a village for me to do a presentation. Amy and Tyler in the back. I forgot to mention, oh, I haven't gotten there yet, but Amy and Tyler, you'll see them later in the session. They're doing some workshops. Okay, so this is the My EHS tool. And built into that is the Take Charge. This is what our tool dashboard looks like. So you can submit a Take Charge, a simple QR code. You can verify who you are, where you are. You can do it anonymously if you'd like. Pick a category, high-risk categories or others. Describe the problem, very simple. Answer a few questions. You can upload a photograph of the issue or the problem, and then you submit. So when your voice is heard, when you see something, it makes a difference. Take charge. The next part, this is in My Events, which is our tool. You can actually click in when there's an event that has occurred, you click into that and you're able to go into learning right there in our tool. You click into the learning section, and it gives you a safeguard analysis. So you can actually go in, and when the event occurred or it didn't occur, hopefully, you analyze the safeguards. What did the safeguard work? Was it not present? Did it not work? So that is just a quick view of our tool, but we've also created it so that it asks the right questions when an event happens. And I think that is critical because some of the older tools that are out there, they try to add on HOP. They try to add human and organizational performance. They try to add on learning, but it's pretty exciting that the group that built our My EHS tool, they're all HOP trained. They actually were leaders in the HOP world who I hired to build this tool, intentionally to build this tool. So that is how nobody stood up for using tools and technology as a way to start, but it definitely needs to be part of your HOP integration. Make sense? You guys with me? Okay. Whoops. Now, I told you I was going to talk about 3 things. So I've talked about the integration points. I've talked about the tools and technology. And now I'm going to talk about the resources. So we also have many resources to make sure people can keep their training moving. They can find sheets to understand terminology, give examples of how do I do an operational learning. All of these, we have podcasts, we have internal videos. I'm not in all of them. I'm in not many of them at all. Our internal videos are our leaders, our workers, our workforce, our people leaders from human resources, as you people call it, our people leaders. We haven't gotten legal on there yet. That's probably the group I do to last. And I know they're probably, my daughter's an attorney, so she's used to that. We have learning team templates. We've got leader guides, lots of one-pagers, and links to books and so all sorts of things. This is a shameless plug because tomorrow we are going to have a workshop where Amy and Tyler in the back, wave, say hi. They are doing a workshop. They're going to share all of these resources, and they're going to have them together for you in a nice one-pager, I think. So you can have all of our resources and everything that we've done, because this is important, because HOP and human and organizational performance, operational learning, you have to always be learning, always be able to do little snippets of training all the time. You're never none and done. I know we've heard that many times. And these resources really help us do that. So just a few lessons learned. Gosh, I have 12 minutes. I want to share with you. And this is from, I've been on the HOP journey over 10 years. I started at Alcoa, an amazing company where we just, changed the world. Then I was lucky enough to move to another company, Tesla, where we're continuing to change the world. And I've learned a lot. I implemented HOP totally different at Tesla than we did at Alcoa, mainly in that we did everything at the same time. But it's definitely faster and more not as focused on training. That's probably a big lesson learned. But the first, whoops, it's really sensitive. I'm not a sensitive person, so that's the problem. I'm pushing it too hard, which is what you have to do if you work at Tesla. So first of all, just start. For those of you who may be on your early journey, who stand up, just start. It doesn't matter. As you saw, everybody stood up at different points for integration of where do we start? Start any place. Just do it. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to piss people off. You may, especially, it's very hard to work with the people leaders because they don't get it. They're used to the investigation piece, but don't give up. You'll have to try again. Sometimes there'll be a new leader. We always laugh. If you don't get it with that leader, just wait 6 months, there'll be a new one there. So don't give up. Keep trying that. Just start. You will fail, but there's a lot. This room is here to help you succeed. We are all here to help you succeed because this is important for us to change the world. And I mean, Tesla's all about that, but we need to change the safety world, as you all know. Begin where there's interest. It's super smart to start when you have an operational leader who gets it. I was lucky, like Elon got it. Our chief technology officer gets it. Our leaders get it. But if you have a servant-minded leader, they're going to get it first. So seek those out. Seek those humble people out. Then, you got to dedicate resources. I forgot to mention this, but Amy and Tyler, this is not their side hustle. They are full-time human and organizational and operational leadership. They're full-time. They're not doing other things. But if you can't dedicate people to this, it's okay to build those networks to get the traction going. So if you get turned down, no, you can't have headcount, then build those networks. But you have to have resources to get this done. You can't do it alone. I think I said seek out the operational champions. Very, very important. You are going to find them. There are good people in your operations that you will find. And then, be strategic about your other partners. Definitely move into your supervisory training. Get integrated into things that are already happening. Be part of that. Don't try to say, and I want to do HOP training for supervisors. If there's a supervisory training program, like how many people of you have supervisory training programs already? Probably many of you. Integrated into that. So make sure you're strategic about that, not creating side sessions where things are already existing. And I think that's my last slide. I do have time for Q&A because I went at plaid speed on my presentation. I didn't run out of time either. So I'm open to any questions. Also, there's Amy and Tyler in the back. Usually I can't answer it. They will. So I guess any questions? Yes.
With you moving at flat speed, is there any value in the soak time? How do you accommodate or account for that?
That's a great question. The question was about, is there any soak time? Which means you're a good operational learner. You've already reached that. We do have soak time on events, but it's built, soak time is actually built into our operational learning process. So, and it's an important part. Thank you for raising that, because there are times where you have to stop and take your breath, and operational learning is that. Do you want to add anything, Amy? Okay.
Sometimes the soak time has to be within one session, depending on with whom we're speaking, depending on the operation. So we build it in. Sometimes it's overnight if we can manage that for operational learning events. And then we also have it built in to where we're doing pre-shift meetings. So we do operational learning events at pre-shift meetings where we split it up over the course of 5 days. and we're doing 10 minutes at a time. It just has to be a much narrower focus on what you're trying to solve for. So then it's built in soak time overnight. So we give them homework during the night. So if you want to talk more about that, come find me after and we can chat.
I was wondering what kind of performance metrics you're using.
Oh, performance metrics? Yeah, I'm not an ISO person, sorry. From a performance standpoint, we're measuring take charge, like the cows come home. That is our metric right now. Employees, when employees know they're heard, hop is happening. So that's our number one metric. We're not measuring number of people trained, number of learning. So that's the first thing, take charge. That, and we are tracking it. All the leaders get a dashboard on, we want, 3 per, forgot the metric, I think 3 per quarter across the company. So we are measuring that. The second thing we're measuring, if you saw in our My EHS tool, I know it whizzed by a little fast, but under the safeguard analysis, we're measuring when something happens or almost happens. Don't worry, we're also looking at when normal work occurs, but that's another presentation. But when something happens, was there a safeguard in place? Did it work? And was there no safeguard? Because then that's what we want to focus on from our corrective action standpoint. Do we strengthen that safeguard? Do we add that safeguard? Do we change that safeguard? So they're the only metric we're using.
Last question.
This question comes in from Zoom. In the tool that was shared in the video, is that used exclusively for equipment environment, or is it also used to support mentoring and coaching?
Also used to support. Say that again.
Mentoring and coaching.
The tool is not used to support coaching. It's used for tracking events and take charges through to completion.
One last question.
You mentioned that implementation at Alcoa and Tesla were very different. Can you explain that, and which do you feel like was a better implementation phase?
Yeah, it was all at a different time as well. Plus, I didn't know much. My team didn't know much. We'd kind of learned from amazing Rob Fisher and Todd. We started more with the training at Alcoa, and there's some of my former Alcoa folks here too who can chime in. We really spent a lot of time outlining how do we get everybody trained, including the workers who they get it. Like, they don't need 8 hours of training. We do 20 minutes. That's one big change. I definitely, but I didn't know that at the time. So I think our continuing push on training, and then we learn from that, we also need tools, and we also need, so I think that was the difference. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
I learned that. Did that make sense from Scott?
Thank you, Lori. Put your hands together to thank Lori.
Thank you.